Her husband in 2011, her first husband, had killed himself. In 2017, her brother-in-law committed suicide. We know then Joey, Matt's child, and her stepson hung himself.
It's not like she had repeatedly attempted suicide and there was a well-known documented history of this. In Matt's own words, this was so unlike her, she doesn't do this. And then for him to come out with a statement that just makes no sense.
If she was to hurt herself, like if there was something along those lines, do they try to hide it? Do they go like a long ways away or something? Or
it depends.
At the time of this case, he was still very much grieving from the loss of his own son, who had killed himself in July the prior year.
As he speaks with law enforcement, Moore starts referencing things that may not look right.
let me show you one thing.
Okay.
Is this because I'm crazy?
No, show me.
This thing here doesn't belong here.
What do you mean it doesn't belong here?
It doesn't belong. That's where it belongs. Right there. I've never seen it. I just noticed it. I took it and put it there.
The one thing that struck me was that he brought attention that the cord, the electrical cord, and something in the garage was out of place. That he's the one who pointed the sergeant to that location.
There is a chance of her, like going somewhere. Like, I just need to get away.
Okay.
I disappear. Right? I mean, people do that.
People do that.
None of us prepare for traumatic situations. We're never going to be able to really control our reactions.
It's literally like she vanished. And it's just not her, man.
I don't understand why someone wouldn't take their wallet, wouldn't take keys, anything else, a cell phone. There was just no personal belongings of hers that left the condo that morning.
Coming up, Moore is brought in for further questioning. But where is Emily?
I hope you guys know that I love my wife and I would never hurt her.
When was the last argument / loud conversation?
I couldn't tell you. I would be guessing.
Because your neighbors are out there saying it was in the last 2 weeks. Would that be correct?
I don't know.
In the spring of 2020, Ohio woman Emily Noble disappeared without a trace, just a day after going out to celebrate her birthday with her husband, Matthew Moore. When authorities find no signs of where she might be, they set their sights on Moore.
I want to help you. I want to get this going because I didn't do it, and I want you to find whatever the hell happened to her.
I didn't do it. That's the line that sticks out to me the most. What didn't you do? Because at that point, all we knew was that Emily disappeared.
Nobody had made any sort of accusations to him, and yet he's already coming up with these defenses that I didn't do it, and he's talking as if she's already dead.
I've gone through this in my head with the timeline, and some of my times don't line up. I made a phone call when I thought I was sleeping.
Okay.
Just know that the times are going to might be wrong, and I would hate to give you a wrong time and then be like, suspects me of something.
He started trying to cover up a little bit, be like, look, my times may be off, time has passed, I just don't want you to use that against me.
If someone is like, Diane, what time did you drink that protein smoothie this morning after you worked out? Just know that I drank it after I worked out. I do not know the exact minute that I consumed it. Add trauma to that, right? When things are happening at a speed with which you can't relate because you've never experienced that type of trauma before. I don't think he was inconsistent.
You guys hung out and talked?
We hung out in the kitchen, and we got really along really super well. It was her birthday. We started making out, and we went into the bedroom, and we had sex.
Cell phone data was pretty amazing. Abruptly, in the evening, for a period of almost 3.5 hours, neither phone is in use. There's not even evidence that either phone was activated. And then from that point on, essentially all night long, you can see all sorts of cell phone behavior on Matt's phone, where he's on YouTube and he's on Facebook and he's sending out text messages and he's looking up various stories.
I fell asleep and I woke up to urinate, made a few text messages I might have posted on Facebook. I don't know. I texted my stepfather.
There's just essentially nonstop behavior on his device from approximately 1:30 in the morning until about the time that he calls the Westerville police.
So between 11 and 3, what were you doing?
It was lying in my son's room.
Okay. So what were you
Kind of just chilling, recovering.
It seemed odd to me that he would just kind of go about his normal behavior and talk with friends and family, and there was never any mention that, oh, hey, by the way, I woke up and Emily isn't around.
Did you post something to her Facebook account, to her friends on Facebook, like, hey, she's missing?
I didn't until later on when it was told to me that it was as serious as it was. It wasn't like, it was after you guys showed up.
I just need to know if you did it. And there's nothing wrong with it. I don't know. Matt, this was 2 days ago.
I know.
Up next, is Moore telling the whole truth?
There was a roller coaster relationship, but it wasn't like anything that you would think that someone would hurt someone over. You know, I mean, at times you'd say, hey, I don't want to be married to you anymore. But it doesn't go down the lines that I'm sitting in a police station right now.
In the spring of 2020, 52-year-old Ohio woman Emily Noble vanished with no signs of kidnapping or where she went. Investigators take a closer look at her husband, Matthew Moore. Moore claimed that when he woke up, she was just gone. This came the day after the two spent a night out together drinking and celebrating Emily's birthday. While speaking with police, investigators confront Moore about the couple's relationship.
Is there a chance that she went out at some point and someone abducted her from Westerville? What are the odds of that happening?
Almost 0%.
Zero. I know I did not hurt her.
Investigators seem to believe there was something missing from Moore's story.
Literally 2 weeks ago, there was one person that she kind of confided in through text messages, and she said, Matt picked another fight with me last night. This is heavy. Matt picked a fight with me yesterday and said some awful things. I'm not wearing my wedding ring. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't sound like somebody who's in a happy relationship.
As things progress, it seems to be a lot more of this up and down roller coaster, where 1 minute it's, I love you and I love you too.
Will you acknowledge that that's some pretty heavy when your wife says, I took off my wedding ring, I don't think we're going to stay together?
It's not as heavy as you think it is.
There are other text messages where it's, I'm not wearing my wedding ring anymore, and you said something that broke me, and I'm going to be single by summer. And then they would get right back to a normal loving relationship, and then just kind of seesaw back and forth like that over months.
You guys are really going to try to...
I'm not trying to do anything. I'm reading your wife's words.
I think if we were to look at our text messages with our partner, all of us, we would, probably wince at some of the things that we say. When you read a relationship via text message, again, perceptions aren't necessarily reality.
Guys, I did not hurt my wife. I did not hurt my wife. I loved her. I would speculate to say that she might have hurt herself.
When he makes reference to her, it's in a past tense. I loved her. Past tense. It's not this, oh, I actively love her. It's, oh, I used to.
She loved me.
I really just didn't think it was a big deal. I don't know how all of us are going to feel if our son has just killed himself and now our wife is missing 10 months later. But I'm probably not at my best.
Why would you think she would hurt herself?
Because she was, not that she ever would. I'm just saying she was emotional.
On his initial 911 call, he states that she's not suicidal, there were no problems. But then during the interview with detectives, he makes a very specific statement.
But I think she hurt herself.
How do you think she hurt herself?
She would say that she was going to do it, she would hang herself.
Not only does he think that it's suicide, but he thinks that she would hang herself. That's not a comment that any spouse is going to say when there's no history, no evidence of it whatsoever.
Moore's questionable behavior would continue after he left that interrogation room because he allegedly didn't seem all that interested in finding Emily.
Why is he not out actively beating the bushes day and night trying to find her? Why is he not doing anything? He should be looking day and night for his wife itself. when he couldn't be bothered to even leave the condo, couldn't be bothered to pick up the phone and get updates.
He wasn't uncontrollably sobbing. You know, he wasn't constantly out there pounding every single door. He was grieving and searching in his own way. Matt is actually an introvert. And the truth is that Matt did participate in searches. He just didn't do like the massive group searches with law enforcement because Matt was at least smart enough to know that he was the suspect.
But Moore says something very curious in his interview with investigators.
If she were to hang herself, where would she do it?
She would do it where she would be easily found.
And that would prove to be especially chilling 4 months later, when Emily Noble's remains would be found, her body hanging in the woods with a USB cord wrapped around her neck, just a half a mile away from the couple's condo.
Once Emily's remains were found, I still never got a phone call asking what happened. He couldn't even be interested into what her cause of death was. That just screams that there's nothing but the fact that it's a homicide and that Matt Moore was directly involved.
Put your hands back on your head! Do not move! Yes, sir.
In June 2021, Moore is arrested and charged for murder, with authorities believing he staged the scene to look like a suicide.
Stick both your hands out this way, Matt. Both of them.
Seatbelts on, seatbelts on.
Just listen to what you're being told.
When we would look at Matt, he would not provide any reason for us to rule him out. There's no Westerville strangler who is hanging out in the woods, who has this motivation to make a homicide look like a suicide. The only one who has that motivation is Matt Moore.
Go walk over here towards the grid.
When we return, Matthew Moore stands trial for murder. But did he kill his wife?
There's no evidence that connects Matt Moore to the scene.
Since she hasn't been easily found, is it plausible that she didn't kill herself?
You tell me, you're the police.
In the fall of 2020, the remains of 52-year-old Emily Noble are found in a wooded area near the Ohio home she shared with her husband Matthew Moore 4 months after she disappeared. Her husband, now charged with murder for allegedly staging her death to look like a suicide. In August 2022, 2 years later, Moore goes on trial.
Emily Noble did not die of an incomplete hanging. The cause of death of Emily Noble was a manual strangulation.
I thought it was a winnable case from the very beginning.
When he talks in his interview, what would Emily do? Well, she'd go into the woods and hang herself. What a lucky guess.
The evidence I would have honed in on is exactly the evidence that the prosecutor honed in on.
It's not about whether Emily killed herself or whether Emily didn't kill herself and someone else did. Really, it's that Matt didn't do it. The evidence will show no motive. Members of the jury, the evidence will show that the state's theory is based on speculation and inferences.
You don't have the smoking gun in a case like this. You know, there's no confession. You don't have videotape of it going on. You know, no blood evidence, no bullet holes in the wall. The only physical evidence that we have is Emily herself.
The state presented evidence of Moore's questionable behavior during the investigation, including eerie comments he made to police and a seeming lack of interest in the search for Emily. However, it was the medical evidence that proved particularly crucial.
Did you form an opinion as to the cause and manner of death of Emily Noble?
It was highly unlikely that it was suicide. The amount of trauma that would have to happen to occur to cause the fractures and death would have to be inflicted.
But the defense presented a unique witness for the jury, an expert to determine if it was possible Emily could have hung herself.
And we started by just hanging that small female crash test dummy to make sure the branch suspended the dummy.
Was the branch able to sustain those 5 tests?
The branch did not fail, so I would say it sustained 5 tests.
I thought the narrative of she couldn't have possibly hung herself was really refuted when you saw the visual of the dummy dropping and the branch doesn't break. Like, for me, it was powerful.
When it came to the prosecution, They themselves had a few different moments, like a tense exchange with the judge.
No, I'm sorry, but I would object to going forward anyway right now without the elected county prosecutor who's on this case.
But she chose not to be here.
I'm not going to participate in this proceeding without the elected county prosecutor. I think this is a sham that you're going forward.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to be here for the decision, that's your business.
Well, Your Honor, I think this is outrageous. You're going forward without the prosecutor.
Every day they were losing, and they hated it. And his walking out of the courtroom, I believe, was a symptom of that.
Or how in their closing argument, they did something curious.
Ladies and gentlemen, I submit to you that's an opportunity at that time for him to go leave the house and to go confront her in the woods.
The closing argument of the prosecutor for the first time ever saying that Matthew Moore followed her into the woods that very same night, strangled her, and then just made it seem like a suicide. Wait, hold up. You had a whole trial to talk about that. You could have done it in the opening. You never said that.
The jury was finally sent back for deliberations at the conclusion of the case. And just 3 hours later, Matthew Moore would learn his fate.
Verdict on count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant Matthew L. Moore not guilty of murder as he stands charged. Verdict on count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant Matthew L. Moore not guilty of murder as he stands charged in count 2 of the indictment. Verdict on count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant Matthew Moore not guilty of felonious assault as he stands charged.
It was incredible. It felt good. It just did. I went back and I had such a privilege of talking to the jury in this case. Some of them thought Emily did kill herself, and some of them thought there was someone else who was responsible. But either way, where they said they unanimously, quickly landed was that Matt didn't do it.
I respect their decision. However, I believe that the verdict is incorrect. If we didn't feel that we had a strong enough case for a homicide, it never would have been presented to the courts.
Mr. Moore, I think from day one, everyone's wanted justice for your wife, Emily. And I've heard that phrase a lot, and I think everyone truly desires that. But I think the jury has also said, justice for Emily is not injustice for you, and you are free to go.
I told Matt what I tell any of my clients that are acquitted and have a second chance, is really make the most of it, right? And start to live every day, day by day. It's not a marathon, because really recovering from the trauma of just being wrongfully incarcerated, I don't know how someone ever kind of gets to a place of normalcy again after that.
A jury decided that the prosecution didn't prove Matthew Moore murdered his wife. Yet the death of Emily Noble remains incredibly eerie. And we may have to accept the fact that we might never know what actually happened. That's all we have for you here on Prime Crime. As always, thank you for joining us, and until next time, stay safe. on Prime Crime.
Be advised, we're working on an active shooting in Newtown right now.
One of the darkest days in our nation's history.
On a personal level, as a dad, I kind of have this guilt, like, I should have known.
Becomes a battle for the truth.
You got parents laughing, watch this, and then method acting. It just is the fakest thing since the $3 bill.
I wasn't able to keep my 6-year-old son safe. So you can imagine somebody going after my older son, and there's something that I can do about it. I am 100% gonna do that.
Is this a struggle session? Are we in China? I've already apologized to the parents over and over again. I don't apologize to you. I don't apologize to you.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Jesse Weber, and welcome to Prime Crime. This is where we break down the most high-profile and memorable true crime cases. In 2012, one of the worst shootings in our nation's history was carried out. But now imagine a loud voice coming out and saying it never happened.
911 State Police, can I help you?
There's a shooting in St. Anthony Elementary School. In Newtown, Connecticut.
December 14th, 2012, Newtown, Connecticut. Reports of gunfire at an elementary school suddenly shatter the quiet and calm of this small-town community.
John 911, what's the location of your emergency?
Sandy Hook Elementary School, 12 Dickinson Drive.
Okay, I've got that. What's going on down there?
I believe they're shooting at the front glass. Something's going on.
All right, I want you to take cover.
So I was at work in the hospital, and I got a phone call, and so I sent it to voicemail, and then, but I had this weird feeling because it was from the school district. It was just a really curt, kind of cold message saying that all the schools in Newtown have been put on lockdown because of a reported shooting.
State Police emergency.
Going to the school, I need assistance here immediately.
Okay,
I'm in a classroom with kids.
I honestly didn't think anything of it being at an elementary school. Alyssa, on the other hand, being a fabulous mother that she is, I mean, she called me right away and she was really, really worried. She knew that Emily's classroom was one of the first classrooms as you enter into the school.
State Police emergency, are you calling in the shooting? Yes, Sandy Hook. Okay, where are you right now, ma'am? I'm in the library. So there's no children in the library with you? There are, but they are safe. Okay, make sure you lock the doors and all that, okay? We have somebody on the way.
I remember parking my car as I was driving from work about a quarter of a mile away. I didn't realize the gravity of what had happened. I knew that there had been a shooting at the school. I was thinking a domestic violence event.
Be advised, we're working on an active shooting in Newtown right now. We're working on an active shooting at a school in Newtown right now.
SWAT team's in route.
When I arrived, it was obviously so much more. I mean, the military was there, or people in military uniforms. Almost every police and ambulance in the state had arrived.
Do you have anybody with you right now? Do you have any children with you?
I have no children. I have 5 adults. One's been shot twice.
One's been shot twice. Where are you?
I'm in the first conference room.
Okay, are they breathing and talking to you?
She's breathing, but she's barely.
Okay, do you know which shooter went?
He's right outside the door. He's shot 100 shots.
We had heard that there were children that had been transported to the hospital, so I was trying to see if Emily had maybe come to the hospital because we hadn't been able to locate her yet. That's kind of how the news broke to us and how we first started coming to terms with what was happening.
Please hurry, please hurry, please hurry.
They're on the way. Just try to stay calm. Just try to stay calm, okay? All right?
Please, Jesus.
I know you gotta listen to me. Take a deep breath, okay? Think of your children, okay? Remember their faces. Try to stay calm. You gotta stay strong for them, okay?
Thank you, the police officer just came in.
Oh, there a policeman there?
Yes.
Okay, all right, you guys are okay, all right? Okay, good.
People running everywhere, parents tearfully with their children in their arms. I ran and just tried to find somebody that looked official and asked them if they had seen Jesse Lewis. I had a state trooper ask me for a picture of Jesse, and then he came back and he was being nonchalant, asking me for any identifying marks on Jesse's body. And I remember thinking, he has a mole on the top of his right foot, and it's not a good question to be asking with a positive outcome. It was just a slow dawning over the course of the next few hours without being told anything that Jesse wasn't coming back.
The day would end in the deaths of 20 children, 6 adult staff members, the shooter's mother, and himself as well.
Jesse was like a ball of fire. He had so much energy, bounced from couch to couch. He was very loud. He was very self-confident, but he was also my little cuddle bunny, and just really just the sweetest, most incredible kid, almost always with a smile.
The Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre has been considered one of the worst mass shootings in American history.
Emily was the epitome of what childhood happiness and joy is all about. Anybody that got an opportunity to meet or be around Emily, they always left with a fun memory. And when Emily was born, I was floored, totally shocked by how much I could immediately love somebody so intensely. And it was almost like scary. On a personal level, as a dad, I kind of have this guilt, like I should have known. I didn't even know that I was gonna have to start grieving. I was scared that my daughter might have gotten hurt or that she was just scared.
While the nation reeled from the horror of that day, something unexpected happened.
Let's talk to Kevin. Kevin, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hi, Alex. Calling about Sandy Hook. Basically, my take on it is I live about 50 miles from Newtown, and the whole thing is pretty much the next step in reality TV. You've got a bunch of people walking around a parking lot. It's pretty much what it comes down to, and none of the evidence...
No, I've had the investigators on. I've had the state police have gone public. You name it. The whole thing is a giant hoax.
This is Alex Jones.
Would they stage this? I don't know. Do penguins live in Antarctica?
Jones is the founder and host of Infowars.com, a live streaming conspiracy theorist website.
Now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show.
You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
If he sees something hit on his website, they'll try to emulate that. They want to repeat those spikes in traffic. And what we saw is that when he did his first really big story on Sandy Hook, his own sort of homegrown version of this lie, and it actually became the 3rd most popular story on InfoWars ever.
If you've got a school of 100 kids and then nobody can find them, and then you've got parents laughing, going, and then they walk over to the camera and go, and I mean, not just one, but a bunch of parents doing this, and then photos of kids that are still alive, they said died. I mean, they think we're so dumb that it's really hidden in plain view.
Immediately after the Sandy Hook shooting, Jones began to promote the idea that this wasn't real.
We're back, and I've been monitoring the news. It is a firestorm. They want total bans of all semi-autos, just as we knew they would do. You've heard me say, look for a big mass shooting in schools. You gotta go with your gut, man. My gut tells me I've never felt this freaked out. I told my wife that last night and this morning, and I really think they're going to try to come after the guns. It's going to start a civil war.
They knew exactly how much this was resonating with their audience. I mean, they just had the sort of perfect storm of an issue they knew their audience cared about, which they tied to guns, and this sensational story wrapped around an event that a lot of people, particularly those with less firm grasp on reality, simply did not want to believe happened. And so it was just fodder for him. He didn't believe any of it, but it was something that could make him money.
I said they are launching attacks. They're getting ready. I can see them warming up with Obama. They've got a bigger majority in the Congress now, in the Senate. They are going to come after our guns, look for mass shootings. And then magically it happens.
We had just been told that We lived in a world where somebody was capable of going into an elementary school and opening fire on 6-year-old kids. So you just barely start to wrap your head around the fact that that's something that can happen, and it happened to you. Emily died Friday morning, and so within 48 hours, I was already introduced to this new dimension of reality that we live in.
I mean, folks, we've got video of Anderson Cooper with clear blue screen out there. He's not there in the town square. We've got people clearly coming up and laughing and then doing the fake crime. We've clearly got people where it's actors playing different parts of different people.
When we come back, Alex Jones's words have dire results.
Within 48 hours after Emily dying, to already start to get attacked by conspiracy theorists, spreading lies about me, saying things that threatening my life, threatening who I am, and questioning what happened.
It's not our government, it's the globalist. And all I know is thousands of people have died in Mexico from Fast and Furious, many of them children. So don't ever think this couldn't be staged.
After the 2012 Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in Newtown, Connecticut, resulting in the deaths of 20 children and 7 adults, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones immediately started casting doubt on the authenticity of the mass murder.
The general public doesn't know the school was actually closed the year before. They don't know they've shielded all, demolished the building. They don't know that they had the kids going in circles in and out of the building as a photo op, blue screen, green screens. But it took me about a year with Sandy Hook to come to grips with the fact that the whole thing was fake. I mean, even I couldn't believe it. I knew they jumped on it, used the crisis, hyped it up, but then I did deep research, and my gosh, it just pretty much didn't happen.
And for Jones and InfoWars, it was working.
Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal.
On certain days when they would cover Sandy Hook, they would see almost a doubling of sales on those days, a doubling of traffic. They absolutely understood what this story was doing for them. From 2012 to 2022, the man has brought in $500 million in revenue selling these products, these supplements, these preparedness kits, the prepackaged food. We were able to see the profit margins that he had on that. The man has 1,000% markup on these products and was just pocketing all of that money.
What does the new magazine say? You can get it by subscribing. You can get 12 issues. Great way to, this man wants your guns.
There was public polling showing that nearly 1 in 4 Americans believed that Sandy Hook was either possibly or definitely staged. And if you think about that, that's 75 million Americans. And Mr. Jones was the only, and I mean this, the only commercially marketed media outlet that was pushing these lies.
When I just saw the heavy scripting, that was what was so clear. And then the parents laughing, and then 1 second later doing the actor breathing to cry. I mean, it's just over the top. And we know they've staged other stuff before.
He questioned my behavior when I gave a public statement just in memory of Emily. I gave this kind of wry smile and did this like nervous laugh. Honestly, that's just a way that I try and calm myself down. So Alex Jones used those 3 seconds of me having a very human moment, and he said that this isn't behavior of somebody who just lost a child.
So making a pretty extreme claim that would be a very thing vivid in your memory, holding his dead child. Now here is an account from the coroner that does not corroborate with that narrative.
That was incredibly painful. I had held Jesse as well. Imagine cradling your dead son and then having somebody mock you in doing that. It's just unimaginable.
Jones's followers, though, weren't just listening. They were getting angry and focusing their attention on the parents who lost children that day.
These parents, when you start talking about something like death threats, right, that has become a matter of routine for many of them. And there have been a large handful of these folks who have done things like desecrate the memorials to their children, who have shown up at their homes. There have been a person who fired a firearm outside of Neil's house. Lenny Posner was being stalked by a woman in Central Florida after he had moved from Newtown after too much harassment. It was InfoWars who revealed that he had moved to Boca Raton.
You got parents laughing, like, watch this, and then going, method acting, going, I mean, it's just ridiculous. You got coroners that start laughing, and I don't mean uncomfortably. I mean like laughing with the state police when they're giving press conferences. I mean, it just is the fakest thing since the $3 bill. And you better get ready for more of it, folks.
Initially, it was just stuff that was online. Comments online saying like, you know, you're gonna burn in hell. But then when they start sending letters to your home, they know where you live, and they start to say like, we're watching you.
Stinks to high heaven. You got the actor father, and then he walks out, and then he's totally sad, crying. He's cracking jokes right before. That's an actor. That's an actor.
The best example that I have, 4 years after the shooting, and I'm walking down the street, and this guy just notices me, and so I stop, and he asks me, "Didn't you have a child that died?" And I said, "Yes." I was like, "My oldest daughter. She was a victim at Sandy Hook Elementary School." And he just stared at me, and he had the most hateful look in his face. And he just, "How do you sleep at night, you son of a?" And he just started spouting all of these things that I had heard Alex Jones say on his broadcasts. So I turn around and I start walking in the other direction. And he follows me for blocks, swearing. I finally spoke up and defended myself and defended who Emily was.
Folks, they staged Aurora. They staged Sandy Hook. The evidence is just overwhelming. Somebody's got to tell you the truth. Somebody's got to stand against these people.
At Jesse's wake, there were thousands of people. It was amazing how many people came, but also the different types of individuals, including a biker gang. And I thought, well, the world is mourning. But then later found out that they were there, ironically, to keep the peace, because a group had filed a petition or filed for a permit to protest the children's funerals.
I guarantee you they're getting ready for false flags. All the signs are there, and they're going to blame it on us, and we've got to instantly come out and not take the guilt they put on us.
Phone calls, emails, upsetting emails about your son and death threats. One in particular targeted my older son. I wasn't able to keep my 6-year-old son safe, Jesse. So you can imagine somebody going after my older son, and there's something that I can do about it. I am 100% gonna do that.
Coming up, these parents take action.
I will not perjure myself under the orders of a judge. This has never before been done in U.S. history. It's a struggle session right out of communist China or South Africa. This is serious tyranny.
State Police, 911, what's the location of your emergency? We're at Sandy Hook School in Sandy Hook. Okay, what is... We hear shots. Barricade the door, if you could push that in front of her. Okay?
The Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting resulted in the deaths of multiple children and adults and left families and a community in devastation. But that wasn't all. In the aftermath, InfoWars founder and host Alex Jones promulgated the theory that this shooting was staged.
How do you deal with a total hoax? I mean, it's just, how do you even convince the public something's a total hoax? But remember, this is the same White House that's been caught running the fake bin Laden raid. People just instinctively know that there's a lot of fraud going on.
In that first week, I already started to become fearful of the attacks that people were saying to me. When I get an email from somebody a few days after Emily has died, talking about how if they ever see me, they want to bash my head in with a baseball bat, I have to take that very, very seriously.
After Jones's comments started circulating, victims' family members became the subject of intense harassment, and there were targets on their backs.
And so much transpired when we talk about this conspiracy world within that first week, receiving these threats to where you're making plans with how you're going to handle security at a funeral home in case anything happens. I mean, that's the most absurd thing that you can think about when all you want to do is just remember who your daughter is. And about 10 minutes before the funeral home was going to open the doors, I was trying to find Alyssa there, and somebody said, "You need to come here." And there was this coat closet, and she's sitting down on the floor of the coat closet, and she's wrapped up. She's just bawling, and she says, like, "I just don't know if I can do this."
Now, as time went on and the years went by, Alex Jones would eventually attempt to backtrack and recant his statements.
On Father's Day, I want to reach out to the parents of the slain children at the horrible tragedy in Newtown, Connecticut, and give you my sincere